Guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Mr.Sap, and today we're gonna be discussing about Man United current players. I think I might do a video later on regarding all the players that I've seen play. I've been following Man United since I think 2003 and 2004, and it's been a good ride for a few years. And then after Sir Alex Ferguson retired, well, we didn't do that good. Okay, and haven't won any titles since then. But hopefully somewhere in the future we can win one. Now, talking about the current crop of players, now for you can see in the ranking, I have like world class, I have great players, good players, average, and at the end you'll see a bunch of players in NA. Now these are mostly all young players who just recently arrived in the club that really hasn't had much of a career to begin with. They might have played a few games here and there. Actually, I don't really know much of the names, to be honest with you. I think this Amma Dialo that I know, and he's Linga as far as I know, but others I think just currently new players that I've seen recently, but you can't really make your mind on that. Now these are the players who have mostly played most of the games for the last few years, or who just recently came back to Man United, like Ronaldo, of course, Varane is there, Sancho also. But we're going to be ranking them according to what they have done for United, as well as how good they are in the field as a player themselves. So they're going to be two categories that I'm going to decide. So they might be a fantastic player, one of the best in the world, but they might not have done that good in Man United. So it will depend on that two categories. And so let's start with, I think, De Gea. I think De Gea had a fantastic, didn't have a very good beginning, a bit shaky in the middle. He was an amazing wall beater. He was a world-class player, one of the best shot stopper right there. But towards in the last few years, he kind of dwindled down because he won like a lot of Player of the Year. I mean, a goalkeeper winning a Player of the Year in Man United is not really, you don't see that much. But he won. He kept us in the game for many a times. I remember specifically one game with Arsenal. He was the double save that he did. It was an amazing save, two saves that he did, and countless other that he did. But I think for me, if he had been consistent throughout the years, even though he had a shaky beginning, there are a lot of Man United players who had a shaky beginning. Like I can remember on top of my head is Vidic, who had a very shaky era, had a shaky beginning, but towards when they got going, they were amazing and they were consistent for many years. And so I think De Gea shaky fantastically well and dwindled down a little bit. He's coming back this year actually. What a save of penalty against West Ham, that was amazing. He hadn't saved for nearly I don't know how many years, how many games, but he was clutch on that. But we did happen to go and I think lost against West Ham in the Carabao. Is it a FA Cup or the Carabao Cup? I forgot about that one. But yeah, I think he's been a solid player for us. I want to give him, because for me, like as a player, without excluding what he did, I mean, mostly has done it for Man United. He was in Atletico Madrid before that. I think I would put him in a good play if he had been consistent, after a few years of shaky beginning. But if he had been consistent until now, I think I would have put him in a great player. World class is a little bit difficult because I think let's not beat around the bush. I think world class you can only put one player in right there. Like Ronaldo. I mean, he was amazing before he went to Real Madrid. Of course, Juventus, coming back, he's been scoring goals in every game. He has like 6 goals out of 5 games. Been superb for us. I think we've been feeding a lot of goals to a lot of balls to him, and then he's been knocking in the back of the net. That's fantastic for us. But I think there's only and he really can't argue against it. I mean, if he had played for a longer time, what he would have been achieved with our team, it's hard to say, because you also need that kind of manager, like Ferguson manager, or the players around him to be, I mean, he would bring out the best for everyone. But let's see what he does with our current team. So I mean, these two are kind of easy to make a decision on that. Dean Henderson, I think I'm going to put him in. He was giving a lot of competition to De Gea last year, specifically last year, coming, I think, beginning of the year also in the new season. But I think De Gea has cemented his place for this year, I believe, with his good performance throughout the games that we have played. A few here and fumbles that could be there, but he's been solid all around. Dean Henderson, I think, he's a solid player. He's a good player, but I'm not gonna give him in good player as of now. I don't think so. I can put him in good players because he hasn't been as consistent, and I can't really put him in a bit poor because that's not really fair to him. Maybe I can knock the hair up and then maybe put Henderson in good play, but for now I'm just gonna keep it like this. If I want to change, I'll change it later on, but for now I think I'll just stick to this. I think many of the players will be in here, or maybe some of them will go into a bit pool, and I don't think so I will put anyone in Stinkfest. Maybe if they had really had a shit a shit game, or they hadn't played for a long time, or they were always injured, and I can think of someone, the man, the legend himself, Phil Jones. But yeah, but let's go to Fred. Now Fred, there's a lot of, I would say, if I go to like a Reddit for Red Devils, or if I go to like if I go and see the comments in there, he does not get any good comments. I mean, like, people always complain about why is he playing the game again and again, a week after week. I mean, he does pretty well for Brazil, that is for sure. Now I'm gonna put him in a bit poo. I think I'm gonna put him in there because although he's a good player, but he doesn't really match up with what Man United want to do. He loses possession a lot, and there's sometimes he becomes reckless in the midfield. He's not that, his passing is all right, but he loses a lot of position. His outer ball movement is not that great. I mean, like, I'm thinking about in here trying to compare him to Scholes. Like, you really can't. Like, that guy's a legend. He's another level. So I'm gonna put him in with what I have seen. I haven't recently watched a lot of match for Man United. It's been a little bit frustrating. I do support them. I watch whenever I can, but also because of the time zone, it can be a little bit difficult. But I think for him, I think I would put him in a bit poo, because like, he doesn't really like. He's an alright player, but is he like a Man United caliber player? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think there have been players, I think, with less technical abilities than Fred, but they have done so well because of course, Ferguson, who give their heart and everything out to the game. But sometimes you just need it. Maybe if you had the right manager in here with us, maybe he could have done better. I don't know. But for him, in my opinion, he's in a bit poor. Luke Shaw had a torrid time with horrible time with Jose Mourinho, but he has been absolutely superb since that. I think I mean, like, a man man had another name, Roberto Carlos, with England, what he did in the Euro Cup, Euro Championship. So he's an amazing player. Now, is he as good as De Gea? I feel like I need to promote De Gea, because I feel like Luke Shaw didn't have that consistency as much as De Gea. I think last few years he has been great. I think he's one of the best left back in the country at this moment. I think there is Trent Arnold. Is he English? I think he's English. But he's right back. So, but yeah, he's a very, very, very good player. For me, so I think this is more fair. I think if I put De Gea and great player, then I think I can't put De Gea and Luke Shaw on the same level. I think it's a little bit unfair to De Gea, because I think given his high performance and a great player that he is, so I'm gonna put Shaw at good player, and I think Dean Henderson at average. I think it's kind of fair. Now, let's talk about Lingard. Lingard is someone who divides a lot of opinions for me. I think Lingard is an amazing player. Not an amazing in terms of like Man United kind of level, but amazing for like who are in like mid-table Premier League teams. I think he would be a fantastic player for them, fantastic addition. Like when he went to West Ham, I think he did fantastically well. I'm really happy for him also, because he was playing. I think every week he was playing. He was doing well. He was scoring goals. He was assisting. He was, I would say, having fun. He was like a kid in the field, enjoying the game of football, and that's what you want. Even though as a Man United fan, he's great. He has his moments, like scoring in the FA Cup final. He has his moments. He scores some bangers, top bin. But you have to I mean, like, the best thing that he does is he does somehow run for the ball. He does give you that effort as a Man United player. But I think he would have been, for me, I would put him in average, because he does have a very good work ethic, but he does not have that, I would say, a natural built talent like others do. So I'm gonna put him. He's been a fantastic player, but I think he would do so much better if he had more opportunity with like mid-tier teams in Premier League. I mean, nowadays, even the way we are playing, we could be a mid-tier teams. But having said that, I think it's a little bit difficult, because like to put him in a good player or a great player, because he hasn't been that consistent for me. Bruno Fernandez, I think, simply goes in there ahead of De Gea. I think he has a fantastic player. He had a fantastic season. He's scoring like 20 odd goals for a midfield. Is amazing. I mean, like, you can't really say much about this guy. He's been superb for us. I think even after Ronaldo came, there were a few talks about should he take the penalty or should Ronaldo take the penalty. For me, if I really have to decide on penalty and free kicks, I'd rather have Bruno Fernandez take free kick and Ronaldo takes penalty. I mean, this might divide people's opinion on this, and you feel free to comment on it and let me know what you think. But for me, Ronaldo free kicks accuracy has decreased a lot over the years. I can remember the Portugal versus Spain. He scored an absolute banger in the final. Not in the final, I mean the final minutes. And, they drew 3-3. What a game that was. But you don't see him score as much as free kick as you did before. When he was in the Premier League, 2007, 2008, he was brilliant at it. But his consistency and his free kick accuracy has decreased a lot. Unless he scores a curls, that's a different thing. But the knockover that he used to score, it's not working or is not efficient as before. I think Fernandez does far better with free kick. I would say even Rashford is also very good with free kicks. I don't know if somebody else is as good as, even Pogba is pretty good. I like Pogba also in a free kick. But I think for me, like, penalty, Ronaldo. Free kick, Bruno Fernandez. I think that's how I would go. But having said that, fantastic player. I think we expect him to do more. He scored a hat-trick, I think, against Leeds in the opening game. So he's been superb. And so, I mean, like, great player. Unless he has really bad seasons throughout another few years. I hope so. Touch wood, he doesn't do that. But, if he doesn't do that, I think he'll be like a great player. Or even what he does for Man United, I would put him in a world class also, because Ronaldo did not have that much longer of a career. Like, for example, if Fernando stays here for another 6-7 years, I think he had a longer career in Man United than Ronaldo would have had. So, if he performs at the same consistency, then he would be kind of a world class because of those two categories, what they do for Man United and how they play as a player. So Martial, I want to put him in absolute stinkfest, because there was so much hype about him. $60 million worth, coming from Monaco, and he's been really, really poor. There might be a season that he might have been alright, but you see that it's like one game out of 10 he plays well, and then 9 of them he simply vanishes. I don't know where he is. You don't see much. You don't work. He doesn't work that much hard to get the ball. Even though I feel like Martial is so much more talented than Lingard himself, but the amount of effort Lingard puts in, amount of differences that he makes for the team, is far greater than Martial. And I think Martial would do so much better if he just goes to another team, not in a top tier. I think in any top tier team you take him, he will suffer. I don't think so he will do that well. You send him to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus, or Inter Milan, AC Milan. I think he wouldn't do that well. I don't think so he can handle pressure that well. But if you give him to a mid-tier team, like Everton, I think it's a fantastic. Or he could even go to Newcastle with a new takeover with about $200 billion of, net worth that they have. It's ridiculous. They could literally take all of the Man United team, like most of the players they don't need. And I think Martial is that one. He will be a fantastic player for them, and he might do well for them. He won't be like a 40 goals per season kind of thing, but he might get like 20, 25, something like that for them. I think it's fantastic for a forward also. I mean, you can't really compare to Ronaldo and Messi. They score like 60, 70 goals. That's outrageous, so you don't think about those things. But even like 25, it's good. If you get out of the Martial, it's amazing. Now let's go to Telles. I haven't really watched a lot of Telles. Now I'm gonna put him in a bid pool because I think he's a good left back as a player, but really hasn't done that well. I think he's been injured a few times, so I really haven't seen him much, and that's why I'm putting him in a bid pool. Or I could literally put him in NA also, because I really haven't seen much. But I think what I've seen from other people's, what I've seen in Reddit, or how people see that, I can't just say one guy saying he's bad. Then you have to look you have to look throughout and then try to take an average out of it. And sometimes I've seen podcasts of managers and players talking about him, like pundits discussing about him, and so you can kind of glean some idea out of it and see how a player is. So I will have to say I'm gonna put him in a bit, because I really don't know much, and I have seen him a few times, but he hasn't really done that great for the team. Rashford, I'm gonna put him in. I want to put him in a good player. I think he's a future, one of the best players that Man United might have, and England might have for sure. I think he's being a little bit more bulkier now, and I mean, what happened with England in the penalty? Yeah, it can happen to any player. It happens. Those kind of things happen. The backlash that he received was not good. With all the racisms and the hate, that was not good at all. But I think as a player, as a human being, sometimes mistakes happen. And and it's alright. But he has won a lot of games for Man United also. Every time you see him play, he gives out every time. He puts in a lot of effort. He runs. His finishing is not that top level. I think his finishing is, I would say Greenwood finishing is far better than Rashford from what I've seen, because he does miss a lot of chances. Now Greenwood in the last few games hasn't done that well. There was a lot of talk about him being selfish, not passing the ball, not scoring. He's good in both. I think he's a more natural, clinical finisher than Rashford. And so I think Rashford is I think for me, I'm going to put him in a good player because I think he's consistent. He's going to give you a lot of effort. He's like a in and out, like a Man United player. Van de Beek. Now, this is something I really want to see. Van de Beek. I think what a team that he had in Delete, Frank de Jong, Van de Beek. Amazing players in that Ajax 2019 when they went to semi-final. They had a great run, and he was a part of that team. So he must have done something good to be a part of that team. And I think to be left out on the bench, I'm not gonna put him in. I'm gonna put him in average because I really think he's a great player. I think if he's given a chance, I think he can do much better. I mean, is he a DM? I don't think so, because we seriously need a CDM. I don't think so he's the player to do that. He's more of a Bruno Fernandez kind of a role player, or more like an Iniesta kind of thing, but like not in terms of like positioning, or not in terms of passing or anything, but in kind of the role they will play. Of course, you can't compare to Iniesta or Xavi for that matter. They are legend of the game. Who can forget that? Tiki-taka games, but I mean they were superb. So I think Van der Beek, I think given a chance that he can be good. Sometimes he shows his elements. Like even Martial will somehow spark sometimes, but I think if he gets as many games as Martial, I can guarantee that he'll be far better than Martial. So for that reason, I think for me, I'm going to put him in average. Now we really haven't seen him much. That's why it's a little bit hard and difficult to say. Now Lindelof for me is I would say his passing is amazing. His positioning, I think he reads the game very well. As a defender, his passing is amazing, and he got an assist in the opening game against Leeds. I think one with the Fernandez where he volleyed it first time. What a great ball that was. And yeah, I think Lindelof, I think he reads the game well. Sometimes a little bit slow on the ball. Sometimes he can be a good control of the ball for sure. A little bit slow. He passes the ball beautifully, and I think he's an average and a good player. I think he keeps going consistently, becomes better. I think he can do much better, and become a even good player. I think it's hard for him to get to that great player, but it's hard to say that. Now Mctominay, I would also put him in an average player. I kind of want to put him in good player because he does give all, but I don't know if he's really a CDM. He does have those rash moments every now and then. He has them. He might lose the ball. His passing is not that great. His vision difficult. I mean, if he could do a Sergio Busquets job, like what Sergio Busquets did with Iniesta and Xavi. I mean, those were not really defenders, but Sergio Busquets did absolutely dependent on Sergio Busquets. The kind of Barcelona did what they did, or Spain did what they did in 2010 or 2006, 2007, 8, 9, 10. Those times were because of Busquets. Busquets was an amazing player, fantastic shield for the defense. If Mctominay, or even like if they get a new CDM to do that to that effect, would be amazing. I mean, Busquets is slow. Mctominay is also slow, but I mean, he is. I don't think so slower than Busquets, but like if he could do his Busquets' positioning is amazing. He reads the game amazing. I mean, they do act out a lot when they get fouled and things like that. But I think I can't compare him to Busquets, and like Busquets would be, I think for me, one of the most underrated players in today's world with what he did with Spain and Barcelona. For me, is one of the. I respect him as a player, not so much as a, when he acts out and things like that. But I mean, like if Mctominay could learn something from that guy and put it in the game, I think we would have a fantastic team. But so I think for that reason, I think I'm just gonna put him in average player. He's a good player, but he could be better. Bailey, I really like him a lot. He's been injured a few times. I'm gonna put him in average. I think when he's at his best, he's a fantastic pace, good positioning. He covers the ball well. He loses the ball sometimes. He loses the defender. Sometimes he has to run and get the ball. Something that Bissaka also does sometimes because he needs to go forward because he's playing a right back. So you can understand that. But him always losing his defender is not that good. But he does catch up and sometimes does go for a rash tackles and things like that. But if he gets few red cards, I mean, I can think of Vidic, playing against Liverpool. Most of the times he used to get red cards. But I think those were the times. But I think Bailey, for me, Bailly, I think he can improve. And I think if he stays injury free, then I think he can be like a good player, or even go to a great player from the future current team. Sancho, well, what we have seen from him in Dortmund, fantastic player. Hasn't done really much in Manutd. Of course, haven't had the chance also. He just played 5 or 6 games. So what we have seen him do in England, I think recent game against Andorra, I think he did pretty well. Did get an assist, I think. I think it was Andorra where they won 5-0, but good player. And I think he can certainly go to here. I think in the future, if he performs consistently well, he does well for Man United. I think he should be given a chance. Give him a lot of chance. Let him settle into the game. I think if you give as many chances as Martial, I think for me, I think it's like the benchmark to give as much chance as you can, but you still fail. But if you give him to Sancho, I think he'll do well. He knows the condition. He's English. Fans are there supporting him, so I think he'll do well. Let's just see what happens. I think he has good tricks, skills, good pace, good passing, good vision, and good shots also. So overall, great player. Can of course I think will do better, but rather than saying can, I think he will do good in the future. I don't know much about Tom Heaton, to be honest with you, or Lee Grant. I'm just gonna put them in NA because they're just new and they have played well. So I'm gonna put them in like average because they have had with Burnley. I think Lee Grant with Watford, if I'm not wrong. I forgot what team he was in. Tom Heaton was in, I think, Burnley, if I'm not wrong. So I'm gonna put them in average player without really much discussion because I really don't know much. Juan Bissaka, I think one of my favorite players in Man United because he gives amazing effort. Little bit of I would say the crossing needs to be better. Should I put him in Luke Shaw level in terms of defense? His defense is I think is better than Luke Shaw's. He does try to cover up a lot. I'm gonna put him in average for now. I think he's a new player, so I think I can't really put him in Rashford or Luke Shaw. I think I'm going to put him in average player. I think a lot of players might be in here. It's hard to get them to great player, good players. So I think given that he stays there and becomes the kind of the prime right back for Man United for a longer period of time, because they're trying to get Trippier in there from Atletico Madrid. So I don't know. We'll have to see about it. Because Trippier's passing is amazing, his crossing is amazing, his free kicks are amazing. I don't think so. Bissaka is on the same level as him. I don't know. Defensive also is fine, but we'll have to see about it. But for me, I think just average is fine for him. I think in few years, if he does great, then I think he might go into good player. And if he had a fantastic number of seasons, Man United win titles and things like that, he could get on to great players. And many of the players in here could go to good and great. Dalot, I haven't really seen. I have seen him play sometimes, but he's been injured few times. Bought as a backup for Luke Shaw. I think I'm gonna just put him in average. I think there's nothing really much to talk about. Greenwood, now I'm gonna put him in good players, and I'm gonna put Luke Shaw, I think right there. I think this is all right. I think Greenwood, I think naturally great player, but he needs to do a lot more for Man United because he's a young player. I mean, he's like 19-20 years old, so give him his time. He might give his due, so you never know. But what we have seen, is good in both left and right feet. Gets inside, try to curl in the corner. Amazing player, good player. Can even become world class in the future. Certainly has a potential to be that. I'm talking like a FIFA right now. Has the potential to be world class. So I think he needs to be, if he's playing on the I don't think so is really that good in the wings. I mean, Messi also plays in the wings. Now, I'm talking not in terms of players. Of course, you can't compare with Messi, but in terms of what they do in that position. Now, like in terms of height, yes, he's a little bit taller than Messi. He's good with left feet. I think his natural is left feet. He's good with his weak feet also, like Ronaldo is. You can't, of course, dribble with it, but he can absolutely shoot with it. And I think he has good potential to be playing on the left. Of course, Sancho is also kind of a right on the right. Sorry, because with he can get inside and try to curl it. And I think he can be a great player in the future. And let's see what he does. I'm very excited to see him in England as well as Man United. Juan Mata, I think, amazing player. For me, I think he does exact role as Bernardo Silva of Man City. In very similar players. Amazing tactical positioning. They know what they need to do. Amazing with the ball. Very close to their feet. Good maneuvers. Good balance. Good agility that they have. He has a very good free kick with him. His vision is amazing. One of my favorite players and one of my favorite human being also in Man United. Great human being, great player. Should I put him? I would put him in front of, I think, even Rashford, because how good a player he is for me. I'm gonna put him on the top of good player. But easy level on Fernandez or easy level on De Gea, I don't think so. But for me, he's a good player, and he has done well in Man United. I mean, I think the one goal that I remember from is against Liverpool. I think the scissor kick that he did, overhead scissor kick that he did, was a good goal. It was an amazing goal actually. We won against Liverpool. I think 2-1 or 3-1. I think we won against them. So yeah, I think that's kind of the goal that I remember of him. Great. And now this one also I'm gonna put in NA because I really don't know much. There is Amma Dialo that recently came from Atlanta. We'll have to see how his career goes through, but I'm just gonna put him in NA because we really don't know much about them. Matic, I think he was superb for Chelsea. If he had been here for, I would say if he had been here for a little bit longer, a little bit younger, I think he would have been a perfect CDM, and we would have fantastic team with Pogba in front of him, or even Van de Beek or Bruno Fernandez. On the wings, you have Rashford and Sancho or Greenwood on the left, on the right, and then Ronaldo in the middle with Cavani to sub. I think that would be a fantastic team to have. But he's a little bit old, a little bit slow. Still very good. Mctominay could learn a lot from him, how to do those roles. And hopefully he does. I hope he has been doing. But I think he's a good player. That's a good player. I think if he had been a little bit younger and a little bit more pace, I think he's perfect. He's kind of the perfect CDM that we have, but he's just a little bit slow. So it gets a little bit tedious for the defense and for the wingers to cover him up, or even the midfields that others are playing. Pogba, I'm gonna put him in great player because even though he had a torrid time in the beginning, he didn't get along with Sir Alex Ferguson, went to Juventus, became one of the best players, came back. His vision is one of the best. It's par none with Iniesta kind of level for me. His vision, the number of balls when Ibra was playing for Man United. Ibra didn't get that much goal, even though his passing was superb. He had one-on-one with the keeper. He missed a few goals and there. He would have a lot more assists than that if Ibra had taken most of his chances, or at least 95% of the chances. He would have a lot more assists. Any game you play with him, his passing his range is amazing. His vision, his trickery but sometimes it does a little bit too much. But you have to give him the freedom to do that because he's an amazing player. He will divide opinions for sure. He's gonna make you want to pull your hair out, but sometimes you'll have those moments that you just want to throw a kiss across the room. That's how good he is. You kind of want to go in the street and say Pogba is the best. Sometimes he makes you do that, and sometimes you just hate his face. But he is the one someone who divides it open. But you can't argue with what kind of a player that he is. Is he a world class? If he performs like Ronaldo's level, yes, easily. Player wise, in terms of natural talent wise, amazing. The thing is that he hasn't done really that. He had a fantastic start for this. He already had 5 or 6 assists by now. So he had a great season actually. He He haven't had a good season last year, I don't think so, but he's doing pretty well this year. And maybe it's a Ronaldo effect, who knows about it. But he said, I mean, they're saying that you're trying to get a new contract with him. I don't know about that, but great player. Love watching him. Sometimes he does make few mistakes when he's trying to play trickery to show off his skills, but I think every now and then I would take him over any of the players in here other than Ronaldo. I would say he would be my second name on the list to play the game. Varane, great player. You can't argue with what a player he is. I think he's been fantastic for Real Madrid. I'm just giving him great player, not as a Man United, but what he is. I could put him in a good player because he hasn't done really. He just started, so we'll have to see. I think that's more fair. I think I'm gonna put him in the top of good player because naturally he's a fantastic player. Naturally he would be for me in there, but for what he has done for Man United, we'll see about it. So, but I think if it's not really for just for skills and natural talent, what he has done as a player, then he would be in a great player for sure. But I think for me, great player. We have seen a lot about him in Real Madrid. Fantastic pace, positioning, amazing awareness, fantastic. He's a good pass. He has a good vision. He passes from the back of the line, from the defense to the forward. He's superb. I think he learned a lot from Sergio Ramos. Probably one of my favorite defenders of the last 5 years or so. He gets amazing goals, Sergio Ramos, at the right time. I remember the game against Atletico Madrid that he got. I know it's a Man United thing, but what a player he is. Huge fan of him. Maguire, I'm gonna put him in good player too. Probably gonna put him in because I think he's a solid player. It gets a little bit slow, but what he had done for Leicester City, fantastic. I don't know if he was there when with the. I think he was there with their when they won the title. So, yeah, I think brilliant player. He can do much better. I think just coming back from injury. He might play in the weekends. Let's see, but super player. Cavani for me is going to be a great player because he had a fantastic career with PSG's. I forgot what the team he was in before, but great player. For Uruguay, he's been amazing. I think with him and Suarez, what a combination of that striker that is. He's been superb. I think still to this team he comes, he defends well. He goes after the ball, showing youngsters what to do when you lose the ball. You just don't stand there, hang there, wait for the opponents to play the ball. You go up to them, you rush to them, you kind of want to make them do the mistakes, and that's what he shows. I think he has a lot of heart, and he's a right Man United player for the youngsters, him and Ronaldo. I think it's a fantastic combination that they have, and brilliant. I think the Lord himself. Now with Phil Jones, I mean, like, the number of memes do you see? I'm gonna put him in a bit poo because I mean, like, when Ferguson bought him from Blackburn Rovers, all those 2011, I think he was like 19-20 years old, and Ferguson was saying that he was going to be one of the best defenders. I mean, like, so Ferguson might say a few things about few players, who knows how they're going to turn out, but I thought when I saw him with Blackburn, he was a great player. I think he had good tenacity, he had a good, right frame of mind. He was good, but his injuries simply slumped him into the kind of player that he is. He hadn't had a good run of games, and also because he has so much. I believe, like Martial, he has so much potential, but for him, I think rather than him not playing that well, I think it's also because of the injury. So I'm going to put him in a bit of poo. And this is kind of the ranking for me, guys, for Man United, for the current players. I might do another video which I'll look into more, like, of the last 10 years, 20 years players, the players that I've watched for a long period of time, maybe some of the players that I haven't watched, but what I've heard about them, what I've reviewed, what I've seen in YouTube and things like that, and we'll do some ranking about that. But for now, thank you for watching.